Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
Hello, American families. Welcome to this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. I'm your host, Skip Coryell. And if you love your family, care about them deeply, and want to learn how to protect them in every facet of your life, then you've come to the right place. Hey, I tell you folks, most weeks I look forward to the show. I think about it ahead of time and I figure out what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to say and I'm just all excited about it. You know, this week, I can't really say that. I mean, we're going to have Joel Fulton on in segments 2 and 3, and we're going to give the post-election wrap-up. But you know what? I got to tell you, I am not all warm and fuzzy. I'm not dancing the jig up and down because I'm so happy about the elections. I'm not happy. You know, I think it really sucked the way it turns out. Things did not turn out the way I wanted them, not even close, especially if you're a Michigander. If you live in Michigan, oh man. You woke up on Wednesday morning to a Democrat governor, anti-gun governor. You got an anti-gun Secretary of State. You got an anti-gun Attorney General. I think we lost some seats in the legislature. But, you know, and then the proposals. Oh, now we have recreational marijuana. The way we set up redistricting now is worse than it's ever been. And I won't talk in length about that because I know Joel Fulton, he knows more about these things than I do. So when Joel comes on in segment 2, we're going to go ahead and we're going to tell you all about that stuff. And Joel will have all kinds of details. And his opinion is usually spot on. Aside from that, hey, life goes on, right? It's snowing outside. It's cold outside. But take heart. It's only going to be like this for another 4 or 5 months. And then it'll be warm again for a few months. Okay. Well, hey, things are going pretty good here at the Coryell Ranch. We're done canning food. Now I'm out hunting Bambi, and I got to tell you, folks, Bambi is kicking my butt. And that makes me angry. You'd think I could just go out there and just shoot a simple little deer, right? Man, it's like they know I'm there, which leads me to believe that they know I'm there. But you know what? They'll come about 50 yards away, and they won't come any closer. Why? Because somehow they know the maximum effective range on my crossbow is about 50 yards. And I've never even taken a 50-yard shot. You know, I usually try and get about 30 yards. They won't come that close. But you know what? Wednesday morning, November 15th, opening day of the Michigan gun deer season opener, I'll be using a shotgun with a maximum effective range of about 125 yards. Bambi, you're in for a really big surprise. I'll be hunting with my brother John, who also helps me out on the range almost every month, one of my range safety officers. So we will have a really good time. Hopefully we will both score big. A buck, a doe. I'd like one of each, actually. That will pretty much fill up my freezer. So I'm excited about that. A lot in the news today, so let's get right to that. We would be remiss if we didn't go over this last shooting. It seems like every week I have to tell you about, you know, the latest, greatest mass shooting event. Just nuts. Always in a pistol-free zone of some type. Of course, this last one was in California, which is a giant pistol-free zone. You know, where are these people getting guns inside a big, giant pistol-free zone? I don't know. Thousand Oaks shooting, 12 dead, including officer. Suspect identified. This one kind of broke my heart here. At least 12 people, including an officer, were killed late Wednesday when a gunman opened fire in a packed Southern California bar during its college night, leaving the community of Thousand Oaks in shock and in mourning. The lone suspect, 28-year-old Ian David Long, was found dead inside the Borderline Bar and Grill after the overnight shooting, Ventura County Sheriff Jeff Dean said. Authorities believe he shot himself. Long was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, Dean said. His only weapon was a legally purchased .45 caliber handgun. Long added an extended magazine to the Glock gun, the sheriff said. You know, it bothers me that this guy was a Marine Corps veteran. I don't like when that happens. It casts aspersions on all the Marine Corps. And, the thing is, when a liberal goes off the deep end and starts shooting, the damage is mitigated by his own ineptitude. Because typically they are anti-gun, so they have limited experience with guns. But with a Marine, it's different because he's got the training and, the attitude, whatever you want to call it, the warrior mindset. Our government taught this man how to kill, how to be proficient at it, and he was proficient. I believe he killed 12 people and himself. Ventura County Sergeant Ron Hellis, a 29-year veteran, was killed in the line of duty, Dean said. He was one of the first on the scene and was shot multiple times when he entered the bar. Hellis, 54, survived by his wife and son, was looking to retire soon, the sheriff's office said. Instead, he made the ultimate sacrifice. When the shooting report came in, the sheriff said Hellis was speaking with his wife on the phone. "Hey, I got to go handle a call. I love you," Hellis told his wife, according to Dean. Last words he ever told her. Dean told ABC News' David Muir that he spent a lot of time with Hellis and that they worked out at the same gym where the sergeant would visit with everybody. "He's a good guy," Dean said. "He's friendly, he's happy, he just wants to talk and be personable and help people out. He's helped a couple of the employees in there get hired as deputies." Also among the dead is 22-year-old Cody Hoffman. His father, Jason Kaufman, overcome with emotion, told reporters, "I talked to him last night before he headed out the door," Jason Kaufman said. "First thing I said was, 'Please don't drink and drive.' Last thing I said was, 'Son, I love you.'" "I am speechless and heartbroken," he said. "I cannot believe that it's happened to my family." "I just want him to know that he is going to be missed," Jason Kaufman said of his oldest child in between tears. Well, a lot of people are going to be missed. This is going to keep happening. And it has nothing to do with guns. Because the same thing's happening all over the world. Even places where it's illegal to have guns. Well, California, it's legal there, right? It was illegal for him to be in that bar with that gun. But that doesn't stop crazy people. Our society has changed. And it's going to keep changing. And you've heard me say this before, it's going to get worse. It's going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse. Why? Because our society is in a downward spiral, a moral spiral. And, we don't value human life anymore. We don't value each other. We're not polite. We're not civil. It's the way it is, folks. It's going to keep getting worse. My best advice is protect yourself. Protect your Second Amendment rights so that you can protect yourself and your family physically. All right. Well, there's all kinds of stuff here about that, but I think you know most of the details. A lot of good people died, and more people will die. All right, what do we got here next? Here's one from BearingArms.com. Borderline Bar and Grill survivor. I should have been able to be armed. No kidding. Time and time again, we see these mass shootings, and we brace for the inevitable response from the anti-gunners. Yeah, I think the California governor-elect is already crying out for more gun control, as if they could get any more gun control. All right, they're going to call for more laws, more regulations, more restrictions on our sacred and protected rights. They're going to stomp and scream and wail that if we don't do exactly what they want to do, then we're favoring mass shootings. Actually, that's not true. Couldn't be more from the truth. We just believe that we ought to have the right to fight back when the mass shootings happen. However, we keep pointing out that these things happen in gun-free zones. They're happening in cases when gun control either fails or others fail to do their part to prevent it. We keep saying that just one good guy with a gun could make all the difference. Well, at the Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks, California, we have one survivor who says he would have liked to have been that good guy with a gun, only he couldn't be. Last night, I went to the Country Bar Borderline in Thousand Oaks, California, with my girlfriend, Allie, and her 2 friends. I'm 20 years old and have lived in Thousand Oaks my whole life. I currently go to California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks and am a sophomore. We were having a great time until about 11:20 when shots started going off. Smoke grenades were thrown by the entrance, which limited my view of the shooter. It was a pistol, I believe, and as the shot started, my girlfriend and I ducked behind the DJ booth. I believe this area was a gun-free zone, he's right, and although there was security, I don't believe any were armed. I do know that one security officer was killed right when the shooting started. If just one person was armed, there is a possibility that it could have been stopped then and there. This is why gun-free zones are a danger to us all, and if someone had been there armed, those people would still be alive. The author of this, a man named Alex Chadoff, praised the police for their quick response in taking out the killer, but he has a point. People inside the bar could have done that as well, if California law didn't do so much to discourage people from being able to protect themselves. Even if the bar itself wasn't a gun-free zone, California law makes it darn near impossible for anyone to get a concealed carry permit, particularly in more liberal areas of the state. That alone would increase the likelihood of people being murdered and having no one there to stop it. But Chadoff is lamenting not having a gun, and I would be too. What he, his girlfriend, and their friends went through was awful in ways that I'll hopefully never be able to understand. But I also have to think part of the horrors would be being powerless to do a damn thing about it except to run. Some people aren't wired that way, but California has decided that good guys are only allowed to save lives if they have a badge. And that's a shame. For what it's worth, I wish Chadoff had been armed as well. Maybe then he wouldn't be mourning as many deaths today. That's one of my biggest nightmares. My personality, I guess. The Marine part of me just wants to protect people, unlike this strange, bizarre former Marine. I think he must have had PTSD or something, or, hey, we live in a brutal society where people break all the time. But for me, man, I just want to protect people. That's all I want to do. And my biggest nightmare is being in a place where I can't protect my family, myself, and the people that I love. It's my worst nightmare. Okay, well, hey, we've got Joel Fulton from Freedom Firearms coming up in segments 2 and 3. We're going to give the post-election wrap-up. What exactly happened to Michigan? It's like I went to bed Tuesday night, I woke up Wednesday, and I go, what the heck just happened to us? Something really, really wrong and bad has just happened to America, but specifically to Michigan. Michigan took a shellacking. If you're a gun owner in Michigan, it's time to mourn. But Joel's going to give us, more perspective, and hopefully he'll give us some hope, and maybe it's not as bad as we think. But we'll find out. All right, we got a 2-minute break here. While we are away, go ahead and check out our sponsors, EliteFirearms.us. Talk to Larry Jackson and see if he can get you the right firearm for your family. And then go to firearmslegal.com/MidwestTactical and protect your family from the criminal justice system should you ever have to use that firearm for self-defense. Okay, when we come back, we will have Joel Fulton from Freedom Firearms and the post-election wrap-up. This is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
My name is C.J. Coryell. Welcome to the Home Defense Show with my dad, Skip Coryell. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
This is Colonel Denny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. Today we are speaking with Joel Fulton from Freedom Firearms in Battle Creek, Michigan. Joel, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thanks, Skip. Great to be back here with you again. How are you doing today?
Well, aside from the fact that it's freezing outside and there's snow on the ground, I'm doing great.
Oh, man, I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. You just caught me running out of the house because I had to run home and change loads of laundry. Unlike you, I'm not married to somebody 20 years younger than me that loves me unconditionally and do all my skirt work for me.
Well, I am living the dream. That's true. Yeah, so it's great. You know, my big hope for you, Joel, is you find someone, you know, as good as my wife and 20 years younger than you as well. So, you know, go for it.
That I could be so lucky.
Yeah,
I find her, and she won't deserve a guy as terrible as I am.
Oh, jeez. All right, Joel. Okay, we had you on before the election, you know, kind of just a get to know the candidates kind of thing and help people figure out who they should vote for. And then we went to the elections, boy, just a few days ago. And,
yeah,
you know, Joel, I'm still shaking my head.
I'm not.
What happened?
What happened? It happened exactly the way I told them it was going to happen last year. I hoped against hope that it wouldn't, but I told them last year that it was going to happen this way. They didn't believe me. They didn't act on it. And guess what? Exactly what I said was going to happen happened. I called Republican leadership last year, a little over a year ago now, and I said, hey, you guys, what's the plan here? Because it looks like they're going to get enough signatures to get recreational marijuana on the ballot. So what's your plan for that? And they said, plan for what? I said, look, if recreational marijuana makes it onto the ballot or looks like it's going to make it onto the ballot, you should already have legislation written up, locked, loaded, and ready to pass so that you can keep it from getting onto the ballot. And I was told, oh, no, Joel, we can't vote for that in good conscience. I couldn't vote for that in good conscience, the individual I was speaking to. And they said, I couldn't get enough of my caucus members to vote for that. There's no way it'll go through. I said, look, you need to talk to whoever's having these moral hang-ups about it and let them know this. I don't care if you can morally vote for it or not. It is going to pass with or without you. Here is the dilemma that you're facing. Given the fact that it has a 100% chance of passing. Well, we're not so sure of that, Joel. Our polls tell us that, it'll only bring out an extra 25,000 voters in the state and that it has a good chance of being defeated. I said, you're wrong. You don't live where I live, and I'm telling you, you're wrong. That's not how it's going to happen. I said, it is going to pass. You have a choice between it passing, under your hand where a simple majority can make adjustments or massage it however you want to or change it however you want to, or you can let it pass by a ballot proposal where it will require a 2/3 majority to pass. And if you let it get on the ballot, I'm going to tell you it's going to bring out a whole lot of extra Democrat voters, and you as Republicans are going to lose, and you're going to lose big. They assured me that wouldn't happen, but as it turns out, unfortunately, I was absolutely correct, and that is exactly what has happened. Worse yet, you had a bunch of potheads that came out and voted for proposals, and they couldn't remember if it was 1, 2, 3. They weren't sure, so they voted yes on all of the proposals. They didn't want to miss one. Normally, if somebody doesn't, I know, and normally if somebody doesn't understand a proposal, they'll go ahead and vote no on it. That didn't happen this time. Therefore, Proposal 2 has passed, Proposal 3 has passed. You have way opened up Michigan for voting fraud, potentially, but the Proposal 2 is the worst one. It's a Trojan horse, and what that's going to do is it's going to move gerrymandering from an elected political body, the legislature, to an unaccountable bureaucracy appointed by one person, the Secretary of State. It's supposed to be 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and 5 nonpartisans. I can guarantee you, whoever holds the seat of Secretary of State, be they Republican or Democrat, the 5 nonpartisans will be reflective of their party, which means you'll have 9 versus 4, which means whoever to appoint the board is going to appoint a board that will gerrymander in favor of whoever party occupies the office of Secretary of State.
Well,
given that you just elected a Democrat Secretary of State for 4 years, in 2 years you're going to have a census, and we'll redistrict everything based on that census that's going to be done nationally. So in 2 years, Jocelyn Benson's going to appoint a board that's going to redistrict everything, and Michigan is going to be a blue state for time and eternity. Neither you nor I or most of your listeners will live long enough to see it become Republican-controlled ever again.
Wow. That's a pretty bleak picture. You're not exaggerating this?
I'm not exaggerating this. You have 2 years where a Republican Senate and House right now, because we retained the Senate and the House, will stand as a blockade for any bad firearms legislation that anyone might want to propose. But after these 2 years, you will be playing defense. You will never again get offense, and you'll be lucky if you can get the defense effective.
So in 2 years, we're not likely to get any more pro-gun legislation passed in Michigan?
That's correct. You should have an exit plan.
Oh, gosh. But I was born and raised here.
I bought 67 acres in Missouri. I have an exit plan.
Oh, gosh. Well, oh, gosh. So, you
didn't expect all that, did you, when you called me today, did you?
No, I did not. I always try and stay positive and say, well, okay, yeah, it's like this, we'll have a Republican for 8 years, then we'll have a Democrat for 8 years, and people in Michigan, they swing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But you're saying that the sky is falling, and it ain't going to swing back to a pro-gun governing body anymore.
Yes, Pollyanna, that's what I'm telling you.
Oh, gosh. Oh, Joel. All right.
That Proposal 2 is the most horrendous thing I can possibly imagine, and it's going to set it up so that they can district and gerrymander it in such a manner that they're guaranteed seats. In other words, they will make sure they've always guaranteed themselves control. And I'm not saying that hasn't been done before. The Republicans have done it plenty of times. Mm-hmm. Democrats do it. The problem is before you always had it at the elected legislative body, and there was sort of a range that they could get away with. We can gerrymander it a little bit like this, but if we go too far, then it's going to be obvious and we'll be in trouble for that. Whereas an unelected, unaccountable bureaucratic board, they'll get away with whatever they want.
Well,
and they'll do it to an extreme.
There's nothing that we can do about this at this point?
You can try and get a Secretary of State elected as a Republican and hope that it gets gerrymandered the other way.
Well,
In 2030.
Yeah, but if yeah, okay. So basically what that does, Proposal 2, is that gives a huge edge to the Democrats, who are mostly anti-gun, for the State House and the State Senate.
And one of the individuals that was very instrumental in working on that proposal and getting it passed was Mark Schauer from Calhoun County. I don't know if you remember him or not.
But,
ran for governor.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
That guy.
Well, okay. Well, you paint a really bleak picture here. What's the upside to this past election?
People will panic buy again. My gun sales will increase. I'll sell more ammunition, range time. CPL classes could go up. Everything that people want to do before all of a sudden they aren't going to be able to do it anymore and hope they get grandfathered in. I don't know. I see a lot of benefits, sure.
Okay. Well, those benefits are my benefits too. But you have an exit plan, right? So, that won't last forever though, Joel. I mean, if the Democrats take control of the House and the Senate, they have the governor's mansion. Isn't it just a matter of time before they pass, what type of legislation would they pass that would diminish our rights?
Oh, well, initially I think it'll be stuff that's small stuff that hopefully you won't notice a whole lot or put up too much of a fight about. Common sense gun safety measures, for instance, like, I don't know, limited capacity magazines or banning AR-15s because surely weapons of war shouldn't be on our streets, which weapons of war have always been on our streets. I don't know if most people are aware of that or not. The most popular hunting firearm in the entire United States, the most popular hunting caliber is what?
30-06, yeah.
6. Where did 30-06 come from?
Go
30
ahead.
caliber rifle adopted by the United States military in 1906 or 06.
Yeah.
That's where 30-06 designation came from, which means our guys who go in the military consistently and regularly since the Revolutionary War, every time they go to war, they become familiar with a weapons platform, and when they come home, they're familiar with that weapons platform. They're no longer using it in battle, but they switch it over and use it for utilitarian uses, such as target practicing, hunting, etc. And it's no different with the AR-15. We've been using it since the Vietnam War. It's a light rifle, and our guys are familiar with it, and that's why it's become America's rifle. It's not that it's a weapon of war and doesn't belong on our streets. It's what we're familiar with, and we use it for utilitarian purposes because we're not using it in battle or combat any longer.
Wow. Okay, so we could have, you're talking an assault weapons ban, with banning high-capacity magazines, AR-15s, all the things that we associate with places like California and Massachusetts and, Washington, D.C., for that matter.
Correct.
So you're going to Missouri.
Eventually.
Well, all right. Okay, folks. Well, I guess we have one segment to go left, Joel, so we're going to have to pull, something positive out of this. Even if it's I could move to someplace warmer. But
well, I was once told you should never live in a climate that gets colder than your age. For me, I can find that. For you, that's going to be a challenge.
Well, yeah, I'm 61. So I'm pretty much, we're talking the deep south, aren't we?
You're going to soon you're going to have to get to the equator.
Now that was mean. That was just flat out mean. Okay, all right, Joel, we're about out of time for this segment. But when we come back, we're going to talk some more about the past elections, how they went, and, how do we go from here? Is there any hope for Michigan? I know Ted Nugent was a little bit upset, so we'll come back in 2 minutes. While we're away, go ahead and check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical, and then elitefirearms.us. And while you're away, also check out Freedom Firearms on Capitol Avenue in Battle Creek, Michigan. This is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
is Felix Curiel on the Home Defense Show. Always use guns safely and wisely. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coriel Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly, Skip Coriel.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if life was like the movies and the good guys always won? In today's world, if you're forced to use your firearm to protect yourself, you will need protection. Firearms Legal Protection is here for you. FLP provides you with seasoned, experienced attorneys that handle your criminal and civil matters as a result of you protecting yourself. FirearmsLegal.com provides its members with uncapped attorney's fees, bail bond protection, and coverage in all 50 states. We are not a reimbursement plan. You can access uncapped attorney's fees for as low as $10 a month. Firearms Legal members are provided with educational services, training videos, and access to our vast national attorney network. While you're protecting yourself, let Firearms Legal protect you.
Listen up, folks. This is important. There are plenty of legal protection services out there, but none will protect you as well as Firearms Legal Protection. This is the one I use and the only one I recommend. Visit firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and protect your family now. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coriel. We are speaking with Joel Fulton from Freedom Firearms in Battle Creek, Michigan on Capitol Avenue. Joel, okay, you gave me a bitter pill to swallow in that last segment. Boy, it was. Can you give me a spoonful of sugar with this medicine that has to go down?
I don't have any sugar. How about some Kool-Aid?
I'm not drinking any Kool-Aid. Not drinking any Kool-Aid. All right. Well, you know what? Let's talk about this marijuana proposal. I didn't like it simply because, more on a practical level. For me, it's like, I don't want to encourage people to, I guess, all the potheads I've ever seen when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, it's like, they never accomplished anything. Recreational marijuana. I didn't want to foster that. I mean, there's a libertarian view that, we should be able to do all these things, and I guess I'm okay with that. But it doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't seem to be good for families, and I don't think it's good for schools. I don't think it's good for the society in general, because, if you're high all the time, how does that help society? I don't understand.
So then alcohol's the same way, correct?
Well, yeah, it is.
So we should ban alcohol as well?
Well, I think the one difference, Joel, is, someone has a drink. Is I'm going to have a beer with my friends. They walk away and they're not totally buzzed. But how does that work with marijuana? It's a sincere question because I've never taken marijuana before. Do people take marijuana simply to get high, to become in an altered state, or do they go out and have, half a joint with their friends? How does it work?
I don't know, because I've never done it before either.
Jeez.
I can't even say I just never inhaled. I really can't.
Well, that seems to be the difference to me, Joel. I mean, you're talking about taking a drug just to alter your mind. And all the stoners that I've ever known, they were always stoned. I mean, it's what they did. And I just I don't feel warm and fuzzy about it. Call me a Puritan.
I think a stoner's a stoner, a drunk's a drunk. I think anything can be abused. I think all things should be done in moderation. I do believe it probably has some medicinal uses, and I voted for medical marijuana. I'm not sure that I'm as big a fan of recreational marijuana. I certainly didn't like this proposal the way it was written, because the mechanism really is the ultra rich are going to be able to invest in this, and they're going to get richer. It doesn't all of a sudden legalize the guy down the street that's been doing this for years and decriminalize him, and so suddenly he's going to be able to make an honest living. So I kind of, from that perspective, I didn't like it. I don't like it because now that it's recreationally legal, it increases the exposure to risk for insurance companies. So I've been given to understand that car insurance rates are going to go up, and shoot, I'm already paying the highest rates in the entire nation. Yeah. I can't really afford more here in the state of Michigan. On the other hand, decriminalization of marijuana and not having people in jail or prison for marijuana offenses, I agree with that. I really don't think we should be paying for that. To me, it's a nonviolent, doesn't hurt anybody type of thing. Give them a civil infraction or something like that. Now, just like alcohol, I mean, if you're inebriated and you're driving and you cause injury to somebody, then I think we prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah. Well, how's it work with our gun laws, Joel?
Well, that's going to be kind of tricky because federally we know it's still illegal, and you have to be able to answer on the form that, it says, are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any other controlled substance? So you still got to be able to answer that honestly without having any mechanism to clearly demonstrate that you're an illegal user of or addicted to marijuana. In other words, you don't have a medical marijuana card or user's card, grow card, caregiver's card type of thing. There's really no physical evidence. So essentially people are going to, I have to take their word for it, and unless I can smell marijuana on them or something else that would indicate to me that I probably shouldn't sell this firearm to them, what am I left with?
So
now, what I have heard, and actually, I don't know that I heard it. It was a thought that my store manager had just a few moments ago before I got on the air with you. He said, "Hey, I heard in Colorado when they sell marijuana to you over the counter, they're to make sure they're selling it to people over 21, they're scanning your driver's license or running your driver's license through their point of sale machines, just like they would for alcohol." He said, "What happens if when they capture your driver's license number, somehow the fact that you purchased marijuana gets sent up to the NICS system and they utilize that to prohibit people from being able to purchase firearms?" If I were the government, I would probably try and use something like that.
And that would happen at the federal level.
Right, that's for federal level. Now, for state level, federal law doesn't apply, and you can purchase and do what you need to do.
So, pot smokers, in order to maintain their right to keep and bear arms, will have to lie on the form. Is that correct or not?
If they're buying a gun commercially, yes. Now, if they're buying a gun from you, no.
Okay. All right.
They're not bound by federal law at that point.
Yeah.
Like an 18-year-old in the state of Michigan could buy a handgun from you, Skip.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't violate state law.
Yeah. Okay, so they're going to have some decisions to make, and it sounds like we're going to have to revamp some laws or do something to, I guess, get a handle and get some control on how this is going to be enforced.
Well, at some point you got to look at the states, and the feds are going to look at the states and go, we've got a majority of states that have legalized marijuana, and they're going to have to decriminalize it and pull it off Schedule I drugs. It's just the fact of the matter. The states are going to be the tipping point. They passed it in enough states that the feds are going to go, it's unenforceable anymore. We're going to have to adjust it.
Yeah, I think I heard yesterday on the news that 11 states now have passed recreational marijuana. So, boy, that... It's like we went to bed on Tuesday and we woke up on Wednesday and the world had somehow changed. And I'm starting to understand it quite a bit more just talking to you. So, but where do people move? I mean, look at the West Coast, look at the East Coast. It's pretty much, it's like a cancer that's moving into the heartland of America. Where would we move?
Well, Michigan is probably the best place in the United States to live as far as looking at it from a geographical, weather-related type perspective, in that we don't have major tornado alleys, hurricanes, we don't have earthquakes, flooding, and all those sorts of things. The only other place actually that exists like that isn't susceptible to any of those major type disasters is about the southwestern corner of Missouri, which is where I bought land, coincidentally.
So you've been thinking about this for a while, haven't you?
I have.
All right. Well, leave it to my friend Joel Fulton to be on the cutting edge of societal evolution. So, all right, Joel, you told me off air that you've been making some changes in your life, some business changes. What kind of stuff are you doing?
I have. I bought into two separate business. Well, 2 years ago, I gained a 10% ownership in a restaurant, so I diversified a little bit there, and then about 3 or 4 months, I began to enter into a contract and a deal where I will have a third interest, along with my brother and one other partner, in another business that I'm like 2 days, 3 days, 5 days away from being able to reveal. And then last week, there was a business here in Battle Creek that had been established for 91 years and was going to go out of business, and myself and my brother and two other investors stepped in, and we are going to revive that business as well, and that's Swank's Flower Shop.
Oh, flowers.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses. That the first thought that came to my mind was that. It's like a perfect fit. Buy a gun, get a dozen roses for free. Well, I don't know about dozen roses for free, but you'll get a discount. I mean, I'm going to send you down there and go, hey, look, you bought a gun for yourself. Go buy some flowers for your woman. Trust me on this. That's right.
Just do it.
High-capacity daffodils. All right.
Absolutely.
Now, all right. Well, what are you going to do with your shop? What are your plans for Freedom Firearms?
For Freedom Firearms? Oh, we'll continue to operate Freedom Firearms till about 2 years into the next Democratic presidency, when they threaten a bunch of gun control and sales get explosive, and then we'll sell that thing to somebody else that wants to run a gun shop.
Okay. All right.
Maybe not, but, at least it's kind of a thought, what I mean?
That's right. You are definitely lucrative. That you've always been a good business owner, a good business sense. And, I've picked your brain more than one time on how to operate, a good business. So
I remember specifically having to get right point blank with you and tell you, look, you've got to make money because you got a wife 20 years younger than you that's going to be a widow for 30 years, and you need to leave something for her.
She's had that same conversation with me.
I'll bet she has. She didn't marry you just for your good looks.
That's right. That's right. That's a given, without a doubt. All right. Okay, well, Joel, we can pretty much kiss some certain things goodbye as gun owners.
We're gonna for sure, we're kissing our offense goodbye. For the last several years, we have been able to play offense, and we are not going to be able to do that for the next several years.
So, constitutional carry, permitless carry, gone, out the window.
Unless you can get it in lame duck, you're not going to get it. And I don't think you're going to get Snyder to sign it.
Well, he hasn't, how many years has he been a governor? He hasn't been willing to even talk about it, as far as I know.
And he's actually he's been worse on guns than Jennifer Granholm was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Jennifer Granholm actually signed some fairly decent gun stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, every pro-gun bill that ever hit her desk, she signed. She signed the Stand Your Ground law.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was huge.
In 2006, that was huge.
Wow.
So I'm not saying it's impossible, but Gretchen hasn't always been the most pro-gun person. She was adamantly against stand your ground and the Castle Doctrine when it was going through the legislature. In fact, I sat in a subcommittee where she got verbally slapped down by a Republican senator or Republican representative, and it was actually, I felt like I should be paying money to watch that. It was that good.
Pay-per-view, huh?
Oh, man, it was great.
All right. Well, let me see. The provisional CPL for 18, 19, and 20-year-olds?
That's a maybe. You might be able to get that one through, just because I think it makes sense. I think we can make enough of an argument that 18, 19, 20-year-olds can already legally carry in Michigan, because any individual legally licensed by another state is recognized in this state, which means 18, 19, and 20-year-olds from Indiana who are legally licensed to carry concealed can already carry in Michigan.
Yeah. Well, what about open carry? Is open carry in danger here? Can you foresee a point several years down the road where, that might become outlawed?
I don't think it can be, because you've got a constitution that won't allow for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Michigan Article 1, Section 6. So you can't stop people from openly carrying.
Okay. Well, that's good. Now, what about pistol-free zones? Is it possible that they could add some pistol-free zones now?
Possible, not terribly likely. Again, the nice thing about the Democrat state that we have in Michigan is that you've got a lot of union guys that, while they are typically lean Democrat, they love their guns.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Even we can be more of a pro-gun Democrat state, and because of the perspectives and the beliefs of our people, we can push that envelope a little harder sometimes. Mm-hmm. I don't think you'll get pro-gun stuff through as much, but I don't think you'll get as much anti-gun stuff as what you might otherwise get in a New York or a California.
Joel, I just, you're starting to make me pessimistic here. If the Democrats, they have control of the governorship, Secretary of State's office, they'll be doing the gerrymandering, redistricting. In 2 or 3 years, they could have the Senate and the House. I haven't.
And the Attorney General's office.
Yeah. No. Well, that raises another question. Michigan has incredible reciprocity with other states. Is that in danger?
The reciprocity is probably not in danger, because those agreements are in place already, and they're not likely to be rescinded.
Okay.
And the only thing it would do is cause our citizens not to be able to carry in their state. Everybody can carry in the state of Michigan, because our law says they can. Has nothing to do with the Attorney General.
What do you foresee in the lame duck session here? I mean, shouldn't the Republicans try and do something, since this could be their last chance?
It might be their last chance. We'll see what happens. I'm sure some of us will approach some folks and see if we can't get something going. I'm more concerned with a couple of Attorney General's opinions that are currently regarding some firearms issues, and getting those put out before January 20th. I've already in fact, I was talking to an individual in the Attorney General's office today. I had lunch with him on Tuesday, and he understands the sense of urgency. So there's a couple of things there that we'd like to get out that will work in our favor.
Okay. Well, that's good. Give us a bright ray of sunshine here, Joel.
The good news is right now nothing has changed. You have status quo right now. So get out there and exercise your firearms rights while you still can. And if you've got friends, family members, or anybody else that has not taken advantage of the way things are right now, they should probably do it now before they don't have that opportunity any longer.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. If we could just have like 4 or 5 million CPL holders, that's a voting block that would span cross-party lines.
Absolutely.
But, people in Michigan, maybe it's the whole world, I don't know, but people in Michigan, it's like there can be, a shooting, a mass shooting, in California or Pittsburgh or wherever. There's a mass shooting every single week, at least one. And people don't get scared because there's a chance that they'll be killed, but they'll get scared if someone is trying to take away their rights. Is that an American thing?
It is. Why isn't that justifiable? I mean, the chances of me encountering a mass murderer in my lifetime are so infinitesimally small that it's hardly a remote thought to me.
Mm-hmm.
But my rights being taken away, my rights are under threat every single time Congress is in session. One of our founding fathers said that the people are safest when Congress is not in session. And that was one of our founding fathers.
Yes. And he was right, wasn't he?
He was 100% right, unfortunately.
Oh, boy, this is sad. Joel, you just bummed out my entire audience. I mean, we've got the first snow. Now, we're going to have, 5 months of snow and cold and icy tundra, wind going down our shirt, and you're saying we're going to lose our Second Amendment rights.
I didn't say you're going to lose them. I said we're going to be playing defense.
Yeah, defense. Well, what can people do? What should people be doing right now? People who went to the Second Amendment March, what should they be doing now to try and salvage something?
I would send a simple email to my governor's office as soon as she takes over on January 20th and let her know I don't want my firearms rights touched in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing before you right now, but I'm telling you in advance, don't touch my rights.
Well, we're on defense, which means we have to defend aggressively. We're going to have to be a little more loud, a little more bold. I know this is certainly going to affect the way the Second Amendment March has been operating over the past, 8 years or so. It's going to affect maybe, that might be one of the rays of sunshine, silver linings is, when people are threatened, they feel like they're going to lose something, whether it's, in your faith, your religion, or whether it's your freedom, your Second Amendment rights, people tend to separate out, to polarize, and have to get more serious. So, maybe that is the silver lining here. It's like, hey, no more free ride. If you want your rights, you're going to have to fight for them. Because I see all these blue states, and geez, they're passing all kinds of weird gun laws. And now, what's going to happen to Michigan? It is not going the direction that we want it to go. So, Joel, thanks for bumming me out. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Anytime I can be of service.
I'm proud to have you as my friend, Joel, and I had you on because I honestly did not know what you were going to say today. We didn't talk about this ahead of time. You just gave it to me straight. You said, "Here, take this horse tranquilizer," and and I swallowed it. So, Joel, we're just going to have to work. There's a lot of work that has to be done. You're going to be here in Michigan for at least a few more years. So let's go ahead.
I will,
and
absolutely.
Fight.
I've been at the front lines for over a decade now. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Just make sure you stay behind me in the trenches and give me some cover fire when I need it.
Hey, you've got it. You've got it. Okay. Well, folks, we are about out of time. But Joel, before you go, tell people how they can get a hold of Freedom Firearms.
Well, you can get a hold of Freedom Firearms at freedomfirearms.biz or at freedomfirearms-online.com. You can call us at 269-968-4229. That's 269-968-4CCW. Or you can stop by and see us in person at 539 Capitol Avenue Southwest in Battle Creek. And don't forget to remember your sweetheart, your loved one, your significant other on random occasions, and see us at swanksflowers.com. Make sure you take care of your loved one. Surprise her with some flowers for no reason at all.
Good job, Joel. All right, folks. Joel, thank you very much for being on Home Defense Show.
My pleasure.
Okay, folks, we got a 2-minute break here. Go on out to Facebook and just do a search on Freedom Firearms, Battle Creek, Michigan. Go ahead and check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and elitefirearms.us. This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. When we come back, I will be telling you what I really think about all this. This is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
to my dad's home defense radio show. You're gonna love it.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly, Skip Coryell.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
Skip, it's time for the Armed America Report. What do you have this week, pal?
All of us here at Frontlines of Freedom want our listeners to get trained and get armed in that order. We fully support the right to keep and bear arms for all law-abiding families, and we encourage you to find out about the laws governing use of deadly force in your state and follow them to the letter. And of course, don't forget to follow the rules of safety and common sense whenever you're carrying a firearm to protect the ones you love. What's the story this week, Colonel?
Well, critics say there's no place for an AR-15 among civilians, but a Hawaiian gun owner might beg to differ. When three bandits, at least one of them armed, dressed in hooded sweatshirts, entered his house and forced one of the residents into a bathroom, the homeowner grabbed his modern sporting rifle and fired a round, nearly hitting one of the burglars. It was enough to put them on defensive as they backed out of the house, firing 4 gunshots on their own on their way out. Although they made off with a reported $3,000, no victims were hurt.
Thanks, Colonel. Whenever people talk about the AR-15, it's important to first define what an AR-15 really is. The media would have you believe it's a machine gun. In fact, many of them are so ignorant, they probably actually believe that themselves. But here's the truth. The AR and AR-15 does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite, which is the company that first developed the AR-15 back in 1956. A true assault rifle is a machine gun. That's what law enforcement and our military carry. But an AR-15 is just a military-looking semi-automatic rifle or carbine. It looks like a machine gun, but you get only 1 round fired for each time you press the trigger. The AR-15 firearm is becoming more and more popular for home defense. Let's examine some of the reasons why. 1. It boasts a 30-round magazine capacity. If you run out of ammo with an AR-15, then you're either a really poor marksman or your house is about to be overrun by a terrorist cell group. Either way, no one ever came out of a gunfight saying, "Oh man, I just wish I had fewer bullets." That just doesn't happen. And there are many scenarios where you'll need the higher mag capacity, especially in home defense. Home invaders frequently operate in groups. They are organized and they come to your house in teams of 3 to 6 people. And 2, the AR-15 is a high-powered rifle. It hits hard and causes massive tissue damage and blood loss, which is what you will need to stop the threat. Many AR bullets travel in excess of 2,500 feet per second, which is about double what most handguns will do. 3, the AR-15 rail system on the forend will accommodate a host of accessories such as laser sights, high-powered flashlights, holographic sights, and even bipods. And 4, the AR-15 is versatile. A handgun is limited to very close range, a matter of feet, but an AR is capable of shooting at much greater distances than handguns. The one big drawback to AR-15s is their size. Because of this, they are largely limited to home defense, as they are not readily concealable beneath our clothing. Here's my personal recommendation. At home in your gun safe, you should have a tactical shotgun, an AR-15, and a handgun. That way you're covered in any scenario and you always have a backup gun. Of course, you should take proper training to become proficient in the use of all 3 types of firearms. This guy in Hawaii did a great job except for one thing. He missed.
Well, maybe she's at target practice right now.
Maybe. Okay, folks, this is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Boy, welcome to segment 4 and the wrap-up. Hey, I gotta be honest with you. Segments 2 and 3 with Joel Fulton didn't really go the way I thought it was going to go. You know, Joel and I, we didn't talk ahead of time on what he was going to say, so it all came as a surprise to me when he started talking about gloom and doom stuff. Because Joel is not that way. Joel is pretty positive. He's a straight shooter. Give you the shirt off his back, a good friend, loyal. But he's always looking for the silver lining. And when Joel Fulton tells me to have an exit plan, I need to take that seriously. I really, really do. Is the state of Michigan, as far as gun owners go, is it really that bad? If Joel Fulton thinks it is, I need to reconsider. And I guess what I'm suggesting is that maybe you should reconsider as well. Should you have an exit plan? Should we stand and fight? Boy, I don't know. I mean, I've got relatives in Oregon, which is worse than Michigan as far as gun rights go, and the society in general. It's like little California. I've got a son in Missouri, which definitely did better than Michigan in this last election. That is a possibility. I've got friends in Iowa. I've got a daughter in Wisconsin. But it seems like every red state is turning purple. Have you noticed that? And the analogy of a cancer, I think that's really close to what it is. Because socialism, liberalism, it's spreading all over our country. And I don't know how to stop it. I really don't know how to stop it. It's so difficult to get people involved politically because they're so wrapped up in their own little lives. They're more concerned with Facebook followers and being politically correct and saying the right things and what people think about them than they are of standing up and saying, no, you can't have my rights. Give them back. So, I'm not sure it matters where you live. Of course, if I was in California, I would say, gosh, it matters where you live. And is Michigan going to become like California? For the past, 18 years, Michigan has enjoyed a tremendous growth in freedom as far as gun rights go. In 2000, we passed the shall issue concealed carry law. And ever since then, for 18 years, we have been fine-tuning that. We've been improving it. We got stand your ground law passed, just all kinds of things. And if Bill Schuette had become the governor, he's on record as saying, yeah, I'll sign a bill that says no pistol registration. Let's get rid of it. He said, I'll sign a bill that'll give 18, 19, and 20-year-olds a provisional CPL. He said, I'll sign a bill that will get rid of pistol registration. He said, I'll sign a bill that will make constitutional carry law. And I'll also sign a bill that will get rid of the pistol-free zones. That was Bill Schuette. Bill Schuette got his butt kicked really bad. It wasn't even close, folks. So I have to take Joel's analysis seriously. I really, really do. I could do a Ted Nugent and leave for Texas. But you know what? Texas didn't do that great either. Every place is turning purple. And I think what's happening is California, New York, all these really, really deep blue states, they've trashed their own state. And it's like they're a locust. They eat up everything, they destroy everything, and then they have to move on to something fresh. That's what they did to Oregon. That's what they did to Washington State and Nevada. You're even seeing things in Kansas that you've never seen before. And that's what's happening. You know, some days I wish I could just move my family into the wilderness, someplace without the internet, without radios, without television, so that I could raise them in the way that I think is right, in a moral, upright, righteous way. But you know what? The kids grow up, and then they have to move out into the world. And I'm not sure that's the answer. But how do you raise kids in an immoral society like this? How do you do that? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm doing the best that I can. But you can only insulate your kids so much from the evil in the world. So we do the best that we can. Now, Joel Fulton, he is trying to prepare. He's saying, hey, in 2 years, the Michigan we have today isn't going to be the Michigan that we had before. It won't be a purple state. It'll be solid blue. And if that's the case, you know, if Joel's right, and he's always been right before, then it ain't looking good for us. It's just not looking good for us at all. So, you know, the thing is, and this is real ironic, if Bill Schuette had become the governor, he would have signed constitutional carry into law. He would have gotten rid of the pistol-free zones, gun registration, all these pro-gun things. But even if that had happened, which in my mind, that's the best-case scenario, for me, my business, Midwest Tactical Training, would have went down the tubes. Primarily because if constitutional carry was passed, no one would take a concealed carry class again. Why? Because the logic is, why should I spend $100 to take a class when I can do it for free? That's the way people think. And I've spoken with other instructors in other states who have passed constitutional carry, and they said, yeah, that's the way it works. Things went really, really bad for us after that. And it's ironic that as a Second Amendment advocate, I have to choose between freedom or finances, the two F's there. I can either choose to have my freedom, and let's face it, we shouldn't have to take a class to get a CPL. We shouldn't have to get a CPL. It's a God-given right, you know. But when things get bad, and I think for probably the next 2 years, I'll be able to run my business. People will come to me and they will want to take a CPL class, thinking, hey, I better get this while I still can, because they'll see the handwriting on the wall. But you know what? Now that Whitmer is our governor, and, you know, we're pretty much a blue state now, we got about 2 years. And then it's going to get bad. It's going to get worse in Michigan. And some of you will disagree. And I'll probably get some emails saying, you know, how wrong I am, or I'm giving up. No, I'm not giving up. You know, I'm here. I got nowhere else to go. But I am going to have to diversify. I can't rely on my Midwest Tactical business anymore. I'm going to have to go more into publishing so that I can feed my family, which I guess is fine. I prefer to teach people how to protect themselves and the ones that they love. But if people don't want to do that, you can't make them do that. It's always been that way. And it should be that way. But I guess we have just done a really poor job in getting the word out and persuading people that they should not outsource their own personal protection. So yeah, I'm discouraged right now, and I will be for a while, but I will rebound, I'm sure. I always do, always have before. Hey, I'm a Marine, right? And it's going to be okay. It's always going to be okay. You know, the bottom line for me, the government is not in charge. They're not. They think they are. And on the surface, they are. But for me, as a Christian, who do I serve? I serve God. Who's in control? It's not Donald Trump. It's not Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Schumer, any of those guys. It's not our new Governor-elect Whitmer. It is God Almighty. He's in charge. Our hope is in Him. And, you know, no matter how bad things get, we always have that to fall back on. So, hey, if Michigan turns out to be worse than California, we still have hope in God. All right, that's about as positive as I can get for this week. I'm in a nasty mood today, so you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to kill a deer. I'll do the best I can. Maybe I'll kill two. You know, it'll make me feel a little bit better. That tells you a little bit about what kind of guy I am. Well, we're out of time. Go to Amazon.com because, you know what? I don't have a lot of business in Midwest Tactical these days. My last class had 4 people. 4 people. So go to Amazon.com and buy one of my books. The Blind Man's Rage, The God Virus, The Shadow Militia, The Saracen Tide. You know, buy a book so I can feed my family, okay? Okay, I'm groveling now. Go to MidwestTactical.com, check things out for there. And our sponsor is EliteFirearms.us with Larry Jackson. Go ahead and get a firearm from him, maybe some ammunition. And then go to FirearmsLegal.com/MidwestTactical and protect your family against the criminal justice system, which can be really, really mean and nasty. All right, well, cheer up. Don't give up, folks. We'll make it yet. Okay, gun owners, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. Until next week, remember your purpose in life is to find something greater than yourself and serve it. Always remember, God, family, country, in that order. It's important how you live, but it's equally important how you die. Your family and the ones you love need your protection, so train, always train, stay alert, stay alive. Until next week on the Home Defense Show, this is your host, Skip Coryell. God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best in home defense.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!